Hey guys, hCG Chica. So guess what? We are at episode 40 of the hCG Diet Interviews with Everyday People. That's what's so exciting about this is that we talk with regular moms, grandmas, women who started out overweight and who lost weight with hCG. And what's nice is I have Alyssa here today who she's been maintaining I think for at least 6 months now. She's been doing weightlifting. So we're going to talk all about her hCG journey, what she's doing now, and just hear all her tips and advice. She's lost 110 pounds with the aid of the hCG protocol. So welcome, Alyssa. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm excited that I finally get to hear your whole story. I haven't heard all of her story either, so we're going to all learn together what she's been through.
Really heard the whole story.
Yes, we're going to get the lowdown. So just to start out, why don't you give us the basics of your age, your height, if you have any medical conditions that you started out with. Can you tell us that?
Yes. Okay. I'm 33. I'm just under 5'10". Do we want current weight?
Yeah, where did you start? Where are you now?
Started out when I had to look back in my medical records because I didn't write it down. But in March of 2015, I was 276 pounds.
Okay.
And when I weighed myself a few weeks ago, I was 160.
Wow, 160. Crazy. And how did that how did your size change from
Let's see, I got rid of all the fat clothes, but the original jean size was a 20, and now I'm in a 4'6".
Wow. And you guys can see in her before and after image, I mean, she looks drastically different. Although you look really beautiful even at your larger weight. Like,
Thank you.
still a very beautiful woman. But yeah, I'm sure you feel a lot better in your skin,
Okay.
smaller size. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, did you have any medical conditions, medications or anything when you started before at that weight?
I did before I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in my late teens, and before I started my weight loss journey and the hCG protocol, I was taking, almost a dozen different things on a daily basis for joint pain and for the muscle pain and things. So lots and lots of meds.
Now, were you heavy at that time as well, or did that happen later?
Yes, I started gaining my weight in high school.
Gotcha.
So I wasn't as heavy until after I had my son.
Yeah.
That's when I gained the majority of my weight. But the fibromyalgia symptoms and things, I think that was a trigger of the weight gain.
Interesting. Gotcha. Okay, thanks for sharing that. So yeah, I mean, 110 pounds, that is a huge deal. Can you tell us when what time span that you lost that weight in, how many rounds, that stuff?
I did 3 rounds.
Okay.
And let's see, I started April 11th with my first round. And
Last year, 2015. Okay.
Yeah. And I did my last one, which was very short, which was, less than 20 days. And I was like, I'm done with it at the beginning of November.
Okay, cool. So your third round in November was just about 20 days or so. Yeah. Do you remember about how much weight you lost on that one?
I lost, after load weight and everything, maybe 6 pounds. So just kind of why I was just disenchanted, I guess.
I'm done. This is not what I want to do right now. Okay, yeah. So really the majority of your weight loss was actually your first 2 rounds then, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay, so April 2015, you did your first round. How long was that? About how much weight did you lose?
I did 30 days, and in the actual phase 1 of those, 30 days, I lost 31 pounds.
Okay.
And I lost another 11 in the phase 3.
Okay.
And then I lost 29 on another 30-day round, and I lost 10 on that phase 3.
Gotcha. 10 pounds. And then you basically have lost more weight since then to be, right? To be where you are now.
Yeah.
To equal 110 pounds.
Yeah.
That's great.
Kept going. I know that after that third one, when I just dropped off, I lost more after that.
Yeah. So you lost about 29. So you lost about 60, a little over 60 with those first two rounds,
Yeah. Yeah,
basically.
it was a huge,
And then
huge.
a little, yeah, and then a little over 20 between the two
Yeah,
P3s. So that
yeah,
brings us to like 80, a little over 80. And then essentially you've lost another 30 then
yeah.
on your own since then. That's phenomenal. And we're going to talk about it a little bit. She's done that with weightlifting. So, and eating right. That's really cool. Wow.
Because the hCG just got me to a 10, to a size 10 in pants,
Okay,
and
gotcha.
then the lifting and things have whittled down this far.
Great. Now, how long were your P3s or the between break from like round one to round two? How long
I
break?
I did the minimum. I did the 3 weeks.
Okay, so you just took
Yeah.
only a 3 week break and you lost the 10 pound or 11 pounds in P3 during
Yeah.
that time. Okay, and then after round two, was that the same thing or?
Yes. Yeah, I did. I tried not to take huge breaks. I wanted to do it all quick and fast.
Gotcha. And then now since November, you've not only been maintaining, but you've been consistently
Right.
losing more. Wow, that's great. So I think that's good feedback for people because actually I get that question a lot from you guys about whether or not you can lose weight in P3 or not, or like if it's just a horrible bad thing to do. And it's just like it's kind of one of those, it's a personal choice for you guys what you want to do. You should totally do what you feel comfortable with. But I have totally seen this multiple times now that they're really, I have not seen a negative effect to continuing to lose if that's your choice. She's continuing to progress and get stronger. We're going to show her current body fat test results, how much lean body mass she has, and that really your metabolism has to do with how much that ratio, your body composition, and so anyway, I thought that was interesting. That's great. Cool. Well, why don't we talk about, how just your history with becoming overweight, like where did your struggles stem from, do you think, and how did it make you feel and that stuff?
Well, I know, like as a child, I had food allergies, much like my son has them, and my mom refused to put me on medications or anything, so she did food therapies, switching my foods around. So when I was small, at least until I was a teenager and could make my own decisions, there were lots of foods that I could not have. And as soon as I was the age to make the choice of what I'm going to eat myself, I ate whatever I wanted. And I was a teenager, 14, 15 years old, puberty, and so you're eating even more because you're growing and things.
Right.
And I just had this really unhealthy relationship with the food. And I started gaining then, and, kids in high school are cruel, so I was immediately, because I was a size 12, I was a fat girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I always have had like the addictive personality where you're going to get addicted to something, and food is what was there. So the food addiction started really early, and I just kept gaining and gaining weight. And I moved away from home. I moved to California, all the way out, to Los Angeles, and then you're definitely eating whatever you want. And I didn't get so big there as I just got addicted to other things. So when I did come home and was detoxing and sobering up and everything, food was the only thing, that was okay to have. So my weight I guess when I met my husband, I was at least 200 pounds. And when I got pregnant with my son, I remember it saying 222. I was like, I'm pregnant and I weigh 222 pounds.
Yeah.
Most people gain it 40 pounds with a baby.
Right.
What am I going to do? And after I had my son, I lost maybe 30 pounds in the first few months, but then just started packing it on. I had postpartum depression really bad and was on medications for that. And then the fibromyalgia from when I was about 17, I was diagnosed with that. All of those medications make you groggy and sedentary and hungry.
Oh,
So,
gotcha.
just medicate with food, and
Right.
it's what makes us feel better.
Right.
And I'm in the South, so it's all really delicious.
Yeah, yeah. Now, during all of those years, were there any points where you would try short bursts of like a diet or trying to fix it in some way, or were you just
No,
not even there at the time?
uh, in high school, as soon as I've never been really good at being hungry, so anorexia never worked for me.
Yeah.
Um, but I did as soon as the girls in high school started calling me fat. Bulimia was big in our little circle
I
of
see.
friends, and I was like, I can do that.
Ah, gotcha.
Make myself throw up.
Right.
How bad is that for you? People throw up all the time when they have the flu.
Right. Yeah.
You try to reason with yourself. Oh, it's not that unhealthy. People throw up when they're sick all the time.
Yeah.
I can do it several times a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would do that and lose, 20 or 30 pounds.
Wow.
But it comes right back.
Right.
As with even with like yo-yo diets that people think are healthy, it's going to come back because it's such a drastic way of handling things.
Right.
So, I did that, off and on throughout the years.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Try to knock some of it back instead of doing something healthy.
Yeah, yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'm curious, like, how did you move? Because I mean, bulimia, that seems like something that people find tempting to go back to when they're struggling.
Yeah.
So how did you, I don't know if hCG was a part of this or the weightlifting was a part of this, but what helped you to like permanently move away from that?
Like, honestly, I feel like it's part of a mental illness, and you are never, it's, like
Never
a drug
completely safe.
or alcoholism, you're never free of it. Like, I will never not think, hey, I could just throw this up. It's making a choice.
Yeah.
You have to make the choice to do what's better for you.
Yeah.
The weightlifting and the working out is the thing I can fall back on. I don't have to go throw up because I can go work out.
Yeah.
So it's such a huge help in that, knowing that I can do this healthier option. But I don't think that any sort of serious mental thing like that, you're ever 100% free of it.
Right.
You become a bigger person.
Right. That's good. I appreciate that you shared that because I mean, basically finding a better way to cope with the urge or the feeling that you know can come on. Because yeah, for me, I never purged, but I definitely did have a binge eating disorder. I guess I don't know if I wasn't brave enough or what. I just couldn't like I couldn't bring myself to do that. But yeah, I definitely to this day, even though I haven't binged in I don't know almost 4 years, um, definitely there's certain foods I stay away from that were the foods I've been on, and I don't feel comfortable eating those foods just because I did try a couple times in the past before my final round of hCG to have a little bit, and I just didn't work. It's just I found myself overeating those foods, and so for me that's my safety net is like okay, I just stay away from certain things, and I have a lot of freedom with other foods but there's just certain things that it just keeps me safe, and just like like you said, like an alcoholic, there's just certain things you have to create a line in your head mentally that you don't cross. Yeah, and that's seems to be what works for me.
Right, like the drug abuse, alcohol, things like that. Those addictions are taken very seriously by society and by the world. But people tend to sort of brush off a food addiction,
Right.
even though it's so much harder because we have to eat food
Yes.
to live. I cannot do cocaine and be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not doing that,
Yeah.
but I have to eat or I will die.
Right.
And so it's to me, I feel like it should be taken much more seriously. I think that there should be more support groups for people with food addictions, with binge eating disorders,
Yeah.
and a safe place, but you do very much have to get in the right mental place to draw that line. And like you said, places that are triggers for me,
Yeah.
maybe I don't hang out at the pizza place.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I love pizza.
Yeah.
I love donuts so much. I can't eat one donut.
Yeah.
I know that. Listen, I can say, hey, I'm just going to order a donut.
Yeah.
And leave there with 6.
Yeah. That would be
Okay. So maybe we just don't go to the donut shop.
right. Exactly.
You have to remove yourself from the environment that triggers you.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, because that is what, like you said, if you have an alcohol problem, you don't go hang out at a bar. Like it's just not a smart idea. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that's actually the wise choice is to be smart about it
Right.
like that. So, leading from that, how did you end up hearing about the hCG protocol and what made you decide to try it? Did you feel like suspicious of it at first? I'm curious about that.
I had a friend who, like, I saw her getting smaller because I saw her several times a week, and she's getting smaller really fast. And I asked her one day, I was like, what are you doing? You're getting smaller. Are you all right? Because it's happening so fast. So we immediately think they're sick. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm doing this hCG thing, and she started telling me about it, and we would text about it, and she'd send me pictures of like what she's eating and things. It's like, oh man, it's really not very much food, and I'm kind of weird about putting something in my body that I'm not used to. But she lost about 50 pounds in 2 rounds, and then she told me one day when I saw her, she's like, hey, I've got like 2 bottles of these drops left. She bought bulk.
Yeah.
Do you just want them?
Yeah.
So I got my first, 2 rounds free because she just had the drops. It's the homeopathic is
Yeah.
the way I started.
Yeah.
So those 2 bottles of homeopathic hCG,
Yeah.
she sort of taught me about Pinterest is where I found like most of the information on the Simeon's protocol, which is what I used in my first round.
Gotcha. Okay.
Simeon's.
Cool.
And put all the knowledge in
Yeah.
for it,
That's good. So with your rounds then, so you ate around like the 500 calories or so then on your first
Yeah,
round?
the first round I did 500 and I did the Simeons.
Okay.
And I was sort of like disgruntled with the restrictions. And a girlfriend told me about Littman's protocol
Mm-hmm.
that allowed, little cheeses
Mm-hmm.
and yogurts and things. And I love dairy, so that just appealed to me. And
Yeah.
the second round I did the 700 calorie Littman's,
Okay.
and I also did that on my third round. But I kept it really super mop.
Okay.
Like, let's try this, and if it's okay, we'll keep it.
Cool. That's very good. Yeah, I'll make sure I mention that because people ask about the different protocols,
Yeah,
and it sounds like you lost basically the same
yeah,
weight on
really wasn't.
protocols. So
Yeah, there wasn't a huge difference in what happened
yeah.
between the different protocols. And if you can have cheese, why wouldn't you?
Right. Right. Yeah. Now, how was your hunger on the low calorie? Did it feel manageable or?
Yeah, I didn't have any problem.
Cool.
The drops, which I was sort of like, I didn't start right away. I did the injections of my last round,
Yeah. Yeah.
that I had the least impressive results with. And I think that was because I was sort of, maybe I did them too close together or what, but
Mm-hmm.
that last, I know you've had failure rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was sort of my failure round,
Yeah. There can be so many reasons, and it's
Yeah.
also possible that like the interaction of like the homeopathic hCG with your
Yeah.
MOP is different than the hormone
Right.
interaction with MOP with my
Yeah.
own protocol. By the way, you guys, MOP means my own protocol. So when you make adjustments, it's that there could be difference, in that interaction as well. I don't know. So yeah, it's hard to
No, my
say.
hunger wasn't, the drops did really
That's great.
great. Or I had little to no hunger.
That's great. Yeah, because that's actually the important thing with this protocol.
The only way to survive
Yeah,
it.
you need to
Like,
find the way to be not hungry, which is all about dosage. It sounds like you were already on a good dose for you with the homeopathic drops, so you didn't have to adjust it.
no,
That's good.
I maybe took a little less my second round because I would do, the dropper.
Yeah,
Forget how many mLs it said. I was just doing like the whole little drop. It
yeah.
was like
It's like half an ml, I think.
30 drops.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was counting drops.
Yeah.
And then my next second round, I did like half of it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. So, and that's actually typical for people to use a smaller dosage as they get
Right.
smaller. And for you guys, if you guys are dealing with hunger right now on phase 2, just go to my dosage article. It's hcgchica.com/dosage. And it gives you, it's geared towards injections, but it just kind of tells you how you should feel, how you shouldn't feel, how to adjust, because some people think like more is always better. That's not the case. both too much and too little causes hunger, and a lot of people don't even know that you can adjust and that it can feel different.
Right.
And small changes actually make a big difference in how you feel. So you definitely want to check that out. Well, how do you have any feedback for like, your first week? I don't know how you loaded, if you loaded clean or dirty. She's like, you don't even want to know. Was there an adjustment period for you during the first week of phase 2 for any of your rounds? Was it rough at all, or was it not too bad?
Well, I think it's probably going to be like the general consensus with like everybody might be, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like a weekend, you're just like, why am I even doing this? Because you're still working through your load weight. I loaded ugly. I'm not even gonna call it dirty because it was ugly. It's 2 supersonic double cheeseburgers
Yeah.
with bacon
Yeah.
and loaded chili tots
Yeah.
and things like that. I would start my last round. I was like, I'm gonna load clean and it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
4 milkshakes later, you're like, what am I doing right now? But it was just hard. Like it wasn't even the hunger because the drops were helping the hunger. I wasn't hungry. I was just mad.
Yeah.
I was just mad at myself because I had this deprivation feeling, and all of my binge thoughts were about stupid food like broccoli because some people are like, don't eat the broccoli.
Yeah.
Or don't mix your vegetables. I'd have these thoughts like, why can't I just mix my vegetables?
Yeah.
I was just beside myself
Yeah.
because of little silly things.
Yeah.
But what your body does when you're going into that deprivation, any
Right.
sort of restriction, we just want to fight the system.
I know, it's true. It's funny how when rules are placed,
Yeah.
if you're not in that place where you're mentally ready or you haven't adjusted to it, it's like, yeah, you get mad. And that's actually how I felt my second round. I didn't feel that way my other rounds because I felt like I'm on board with this. This is what it's accomplishing. But yes, sometimes I remember my second round being, like you said, I was actually mad at the protocol. Like I was, yeah, like, why do I have to do this? Why am I like,
Yeah, this is the
forget,
stupidest
like,
and like if you cheat, my cheats are just like the stupidest things.
yeah,
Like why, like goldfish crackers, or some stale package of something from the back of the car. Like
yeah,
just
that
not even
normally you wouldn't have cared to have anyway.
right. Something that in your normal day you wouldn't have even thought twice about, but now because you can't have it,
Yeah,
that's all I want,
yeah. Isn't that funny how that is? What
It's
do you feel like helped you like get through that time period in order to complete the round successfully?
uh
Just
having a support group because I was part of a vlogging community on YouTube the whole time, and having round buddies,
yeah,
going through the same thing, having someone I could text or call or talk to about what's happening to my body and my mental status,
yeah,
just to reassure me that you're not crazy.
yeah.
You can work through this. I watched you a lot.
Oh,
One of my super crazies, I would watch you and be like, all right,
okay.
she did it.
One more day.
I can do this. So yeah, having a support group of some
Oh,
sort. Don't try to walk the road alone.
yeah. And I have the same thing. Now, do you know if people are still vlogging their HCG journeys on YouTube?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
are. Yeah.
There's
So you
a
guys
ton of ladies.
Yeah, so because sometimes people think that that's not happening anymore.
Oh,
Some of the search terms you guys can use to find YouTube people who are currently vlogging is probably like if you put hCG diet 2016
yeah,
or whatever year it is when you're watching this, or like VLCD
yeah. A ton of
2015.
ladies actually have HCG in their names.
Yeah,
It's
that too.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
So and then once
you
you
vlog,
yeah.
they will come to you. I'm telling
Right. Yeah. And then once you find somebody a couple current bloggers, look in the comments if there's comments, and then you can find other users who the reason they're commenting is because they're actively a part of the community right now.
you.
So then you can subscribe to them and they'll see that and then they might sub to you. Now you actually did some vlogging yourself, is that correct?
Yeah, did.
And that's really helpful. I know a lot of people are shy to do that. So, and I totally get it. I remember when I did my first vlogs, if you go back and see like my first ones, I mean, I come across totally timid and that's because I was just like, it feels weird to talk to like your
Yeah, you're
camera piece.
and
There's
you're talking
nobody
about,
here. And I'm
yeah,
talking to myself. It feels really, I
yeah,
feel so stupid.
but it's so therapeutic,
It
you know.
is.
And a lot of mine I took down because um, I was like, oh, that's stupid. I shouldn't have said that
Aw.
out loud, you know. So
Yeah.
I took most of the beginning of mine down, you know, and I really regret that now
Are they
because
actually gone or just
they're
private?
they're deleted.
Oh,
Gone. I'm so mad because I remember. I mean, I look at pictures and I was so much bigger, you know, and it would
yeah,
have been nice to be able to like
it
look
is.
back and see what I did differently and watch myself yelling about the goldfish crackers, being mad about it, you know.
Yeah,
But there's so many women. My friend Tina, her whole journey's on years
yeah,
of journey
yeah,
is there, you know, and it's wonderful to be able to look back.
it is.
And that sort of keeps you present too, I think, and keeps you focused
Yeah,
to be able to look back and
yeah,
see I have come from somewhere.
yeah,
I'm not in the same place that I was. Even if weight wise you're not, nothing you you learn from everything you do. You learn from every breath you take in life,
yeah.
you know. So even if you just learned something new about yourself.
All right, so we had a short break because Melissa's a mommy and her 4-year-old needed a little help. So we're back. um, so we were talking about vlogging on YouTube, finding the community, but also being a part of it, how we can be nervous. But for both Melissa and I, we did our journeys at different points, but we both utilized putting it out there. And what I was going to say was, I think you kind of basically were saying this yourself, that just talking out loud about what you're thinking, even though there's not necessarily a solution, you're just like I hate this right now. Like,
Yeah,
and there's really no solution. It's just not going to go away. I just have to do this hard thing. But just talking about it out loud is helpful, you know?
right. Yeah, I mean, it's therapeutic.
It is.
As sure, I have a husband, and a kid. The 4-year-old doesn't understand anything about any of this. You know, he's ridiculous. But even having, you know, a spouse and someone who's, you know, because I would talk a lot about feeling I was alone and I'm on this road. He's like, honey, you're not alone. I'm here. It's not the same.
Yeah.
He's not eating the foods I'm eating. He's not experiencing this craziness
Deprivation.
in my body, you know,
Yeah.
mental distress of what we're doing to ourselves, you know.
Right.
But you can find a group of men and women, you know, on here that are experiencing the exact same thing, you know, and you're validated.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, you're validated in your feelings.
Yeah. And that
You know?
helps you to like keep going, you know, I think.
Yes, for sure. Man, I wanted to quit. Even it took me about 40 pounds to not want to just be like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
it's
that's good. I mean, the vlogging and then that really helped then. 'Cause
yes,
that's a lot of pounds to
sure.
have to get through where you're just not really
Right.
wanting to do it.
Yeah, because it's hard. Like this is not the easy way to do it. Just because it's fast doesn't mean it's easy.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
it is definitely the hard way to do it,
Yeah.
but it works. You know, it's a fantastic tool. You
Yeah,
know,
and let this be a lesson since Melissa says she regrets taking down her old videos. Leave them up there, you guys. Or, you know, even if you record them and upload them, like you don't have to make them public. You can just
no,
make them private.
yeah,
So, like, just before you toss stuff away, because I do have my before videos and I'm glad I have them. And there's one video that I never uploaded. Um, and then I lost it because we lost that hard drive. Like it died or something, and I don't have it. And I wish I did because I wish I could share it with you. It was actually me recording a video late at night after I had binged. This was
yeah.
after sometime after
Those,
my second round, and I came on like just trying to talk about how I felt, you know, how what I did made me.
no, yeah, definitely. The I wish I would have left them up.
Yeah, and it's because it's not only like helpful for yourself. Because I think what's hard is like, for instance, for me, I ended up not uploading that video because I was still in it. Like I
Yeah,
hadn't overcome it. Like I had just binged, and I'm like, it's really like to put up there that you did something like that is kind of embarrassing, and it's hard because you're still in the middle of like screwing up.
yeah,
But then later I did overcome it, and you got to have that belief in yourself that you will find a way out. It's just that you don't know, you haven't found it yet, you know. And yeah, you can always make it private, and but having that later to see how far you've come and to be
right.
able to share it with others.
Even if you're the only person who ever sees
Yeah,
anything, you know, even if you are just keeping it as your personal video diary to yourself, you know, like
yeah,
I know in some of mine I would talk to myself,
Yeah.
like, this is how you're feeling right now,
Right.
to know in the next round that that's exactly what you were experiencing,
Right.
And it will pass. Because
Right.
you have sort of, I'm going to be able to breathe again.
That's true. Yeah, because sometimes you can forget. Like, did I feel like this last time?
Yeah.
Was it like this? Like, oh yeah, it was. Okay.
Yeah. Because no, you've done this before.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, why don't we move on past phase 2 then and talk about P3 and P4, because now that's kind of where, you're obviously on the path to not needing HCG again. So let's talk about just what you said you started weightlifting. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I had started, my husband started showing me things. I was like the most awkward person in the world in the gym with just little dumbbells doing bicep curls because that's all I'd ever seen, on television. And he helped me, showed me a lot of different workouts and like foundation type moves, Olympic style lifts and things. And so I would do a little bit of that. But as soon as the P3 thing started, the first sort of exercise that I was doing, diligently in P3, it was so big and my knees hurt really bad still. So I was doing like aqua Zumba
Mm,
at the gym,
okay.
because the water classes take a lot of the weight off of you.
Right.
So I did those until I was comfortable really getting in the gym lifting. But I exercised for all of, P3. It was almost like immediately after that 2 or 3 days, I got into the gym
Right.
just to get my body going,
Yeah.
which was very controversial because a lot of people were like, don't work out
Right.
at all. And I know that for sure. I had several girls tell me because I was talking about working out. They're like, don't work out on protocol at all.
Right.
So I didn't do that. But as soon as P3 hit, I wanted to get in there and get moving because I didn't feel like that I had to have this downtime where I never made the connection with, hey, we need to just maintain that.
Yeah.
I felt like I don't want to waste this few weeks I have if I could do more.
Yeah.
And
Well, it sounds like you're in a place where you felt motivated to continue, so
yeah,
taking advantage of that.
right. Yeah, and it just made me feel so good,
Yeah.
that because the drops also like made me more energetic,
Mhm.
it seemed. And those few days where you're like getting off the drops and you're not really doing anything, and then you start adding calories back in,
Mhm.
I just felt like blah. So I found that going to the gym and like doing doing some sort of exercise, walking or whatever, I see helps. I see. It's okay. We have more. Okay. We have more. Will you take her and go play? Thank you. First aid. Okay. It really helped to boost my energy
Cool.
as I was feeling because
Yeah,
I
that's
even
nice.
watched a lot of ladies that were vlogging say that that first week off the juice
Yeah.
was just like dead week.
Yeah.
Do anything. So
Gotcha. I'm curious. So, since you lost so much weight, 10 to 11 pounds during each of those 3 weeks of phase 3, were you tracking calories in phase 3?
yes, I've
How many
used.
calories were you eating during that 3 weeks?
I was eating about 1,000 calories.
Gotcha. So you were
So I
definitely,
worked my way up. I wasn't like immediately eating 1,000 calories. I added about 100 calories every 2 days is how I was doing it, and
okay.
sort of like stair stepping my calories up. And then for that 3 weeks, I eat about 1,000.
Okay. Cool. And then you were exercising and then
Yeah,
obviously losing weight because you're eating under your
right.
intake. Okay.
There,
And
there was
did that feel pretty doable for you though? I mean, it sounds like you were motivated, so, but did that
yeah,
feel doable, like hunger-wise? I mean, you must have felt a little
yeah.
hungry, but no,
I was a little hungry,
but not
but
too bad.
snack on like fruit and stuff. If I got hungry, I would eat
Yeah,
for sure. It wasn't like I didn't let because I knew that was dangerous territory
right.
to to sit in that hunger. I don't know if you felt that before.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, where you get
you
like
sit.
desperate and then,
Yes, that's the thing. Yeah, that's a huge point. If you sit in your hunger too long, you're gonna get desperate. And there's like this. There's a book I've been reading that even says, we'll start foraging
Yeah.
They use the word foraging. When you get desperate in your hunger, you eat whatever, but if you feel it coming on and you eat, some yogurt or some fruit or something, then
Cool. So
it's
it
not.
kind of kept it in balance.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, did you really stick with the no starch, no sugar in phase three? No.
No.
Well, I guess because you were eating 1,000 calories, maybe that made a difference. So what did you
Yeah.
eat in phase three? I'm curious then.
I
Or what did you eat that would be considered not usually something you should eat?
For P3, I was having all the vegetables,
Okay.
whatever fruits and vegetables I wanted in whatever amount.
Okay.
I didn't really measure that. I stayed on clean, lean proteins. If I had pork, it was like white meat, loin. We buy like bulk loin,
Okay.
cut it up and use it. I don't, ground beef, I had really bad reactions, so I didn't do that at all.
Ah,
I would do ground turkey or chicken or stuff, just lean proteins. I started adding in like Ezekiel bread, sprouted grain breads,
mhm.
whole grains, a little brown rice, not really like I didn't use a lot of rice and noodles and things because I
Yeah.
had the fear,
Yeah.
but like wraps and things, like those extreme wellness low carb wraps. I still in P3 did keep it very low carb,
Gotcha.
but was having
A
carbs.
little bit of that, but
Yeah.
you were exercising.
Yes.
And
I
then,
think that's the ticket.
yeah, and at that time, were you already weightlifting or were you doing the aqua Zumba?
The first round I was still doing the aqua stuff because I didn't feel
Right.
comfortable in
Sure.
my body enough to even like get in there. But that second round I started lifting a little, but it wasn't even enough to be like, hey, I'm lifting.
Sure. Gotcha. Yeah.
There
And
was a lot of the bike, the stationary bike. I would do that.
gotcha, cool. And then just to clarify for everyone, since you were losing in P3, eating 1,000 calories, I'd like to know where today you're at. What about how many calories are you able to eat today now that well, actually you're still leaning out, but what has been like your max calorie intake you've been able to eat and maintain while with your weightlifting and such?
When I was bulking, I was eating 1,900, 2,000 calories a day.
Cool. Yeah. So
Maintaining.
wouldn't you ladies like to be able to do that?
It's so
It's
much fun.
possible. It's totally possible.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know how many I eat, but it's definitely there or higher for sure.
Yeah, I've tried to really like with this, I'm trying to get on a forever kind of path.
Hmm.
And I've found that like the macros are based, they're just the golden ticket to me. And I can just, instead of paying so much, because I still put the calories and things into my Fitness Pal,
Yeah.
but try to go closer to that macronutrient goal
Can you
instead of the
explain what
calories.
that is for those who don't know?
Yeah, the macronutrients, you're gonna need a certain number depending on your goal because it's going to be different for everyone's goal, whether you're leaning or bulking or just maintaining. They're going to be different. Your proteins, your fats, which are going to be clean, healthy fats, not saturated fats, and your carbohydrates, that's your fuel for whatever you're doing. So depending on the amount of activity you're doing, you're going to need more or less of those like carbohydrates, but you're probably going to want to keep your fats low in maintaining and leaning sort of phases. But I try to hit as close to those. They'll give you my Fitness Pal has a little pie chart.
Yeah, a little chart and shows a percentage, right? Of
Yeah.
carbs, fat, protein.
If mine looks like a little peace sign at the end of the day, and fats is the smallest little piece of pie,
Yeah,
then I'm a very happy lady.
cool.
So
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and it's very interesting that there's different ways I've found for people to maintain with different ratios, really. So
mm-hmm.
it's going to be individual, and it's kind of also, I think, the lifestyle that you want.
Right.
I've found because some people are doing like the ketogenic diets,
Yeah.
which are super high fat,
Yeah.
and people can maintain at that level, and so that's definitely an option. But what you'll find is for you also now that you're starting to CrossFit too, and then with weightlifting, certain things need carbs in order
Yeah.
to perform well. And so like with CrossFit, like I did research on this, I could not find anybody successfully CrossFitting and doing ketogenic diet because it's called a glycogen dependent sport.
Yeah.
So it means like in order to do the workout well and to feel good while doing it, not like crap, you have to have a reserve of carbs that your body has in your body, you know?
You have to fill up those glycogen stores.
Yeah,
That's why this is that people, several trainers that I've talked to, and there's some on YouTube, they'll tell you do your cardio after you're lifting because you don't want to deplete your glycogen stores
yeah,
because cardio just eats it up.
right.
You know, which CrossFit is, I mean, it's cardio.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
but those, yeah. And as far as people on like ketogenic diets and things, I think that's also a wonderful tool and has its place. Especially, I've talked to 3 or 4 like diabetics that's what they use because they can't do the carbs. Their body just
right.
turns it into the
Yeah.
insulin.
Yeah, if your body's in a broken state, that can be part of healing it, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but once you get to that place where you're healthier and you're able to
Right.
exercise, your body often can reintroduce those if that's what you want, you know.
Right. I'm sure there are studies of it of diabetics being, turned around by a nutrition plan. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so it's kind of neat. So it's nice to know that there's different options, because you know, in the world right now where low carb and ketogenic is the most popular thing, and like you said, it has its place. I'm totally for that. In fact, for a while, I actually wanted to try ketogenic diet because I read people talking about how much brain clarity they had.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my brain is so clear. I get so much done. I'm not hungry all day, and I'm like, I want that. Like my brain's so foggy, you know, because I have some chronic health issues like Lyme disease and stuff, and so but then, you know, since I CrossFit and I was researching that and it's like it's really not a wise thing for me to do in my case with my lifestyle. So it just depends on what it is you want to do and just realizing that actually lower fat and higher carb does still have a place. As long as it's done in the right way. It's not like you want to be living off of like, you know, totally processed, you know,
No, that's
basically
also
low fat stuff,
part
but
of it.
it has a place, you know?
Yeah, that's a huge part of it too, is like just because the calories and things, like you can eat, because like right now I'm on about 1,700 calories a day in my leaning phase. Does that mean that I can have $1,700, $700, 700 calories of whatever I want and still get these results? Absolutely not. I eat real whole foods, the nutrients in my body. If I was eating that much of just like junk food, I'd be 275 back on the couch.
Right. Yeah, so it's strategic. I'd
Yeah.
like to actually speak to that because you mentioned, you know, like most of us, you kind of have an 80-20 rule as far as
Yeah.
eating whole foods and then also having some indulgences. Can you share, because I think you post on your Instagram. You guys can follow her. We'll put her Instagram handle in the show notes for you guys because she shows a lot of her meals and you're like, wow, she can eat that and maintain. It's awesome. But also, you know, some of the products that are out there that are like whether it's a high protein cookie or a low sugar ice cream, or can you share
Yeah.
some of your little like indulgences that are kind of healthier though?
Yes, absolutely. Because I'm like super passionate about these. I love cookies and chocolate. And I'm also, there's all these memes that are like the guy and it says, I don't even see food anymore. I just see carbs, proteins, and fats.
Yeah.
I live in that space. Okay. I look at, that's the first thing I look at. So Walmart, and I think everybody has a Walmart,
Yeah.
has these Lenny and Larry's protein cookies, and they have oatmeal raisin, chocolate chip, white chocolate macadamia nut. My favorite is the double chocolate fudge, but it's these huge cookies,
Yeah.
and they taste like fresh baked cookies,
Yeah.
So as far as cookies go, those are great.
What's in them? Like
Those are
what's
really They're gluten free, vegan,
okay.
dairy free and everything, so they're really good for people that are going to have food sensitivities and allergies.
Cool. So gluten free, vegan free. I mean not vegan free. Vegan,
They're dairy free, like no eggs, no milk.
dairy free. Now, do they have any sugar in them or?
I wish I had one. I ate the last one.
It's fine. We'll find out and let you guys know. And if
I
you
think
do,
they probably have some
save it
sugar
for
alcohols.
phase 4. But it's kind of like designed to be like a high protein.
It's added protein. It's high. It's
Are you done, Mommy?
not yet, baby cakes. It's a little higher in carbs because they are built for athletes.
Yeah, gotcha. For athletes. Yeah. So it might be like a good phase 4 snack for people
For sure.
weightlifting as a treat.
I like a half of one,
Yeah.
and still, 8 or so grams of protein,
Nice.
which is overall in a day, what my mindset is have I had enough protein?
Yeah,
Because
gotcha.
that's what bees eat,
Yeah, right.
So,
Cool. Yeah, what are some other treats you like to have?
Halo Top ice cream.
Okay.
I know that you probably, yes.
I haven't had it, but I did recently find out about it.
Yes, it's in the freezer.
And again, for you guys, that's a phase 4 because it does have a little sugar, but it's very small. It's mostly erythritol sweetened and has a small amount of sugar. So like for phase 4, but it probably tastes more like real ice cream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so Halo Top ice cream. Where do you find it? I don't know what stores that would be in, but don't mention Whole Foods.
I have been able to find it because we don't have like Whole Foods and stuff here. We have the newest Kroger has a huge selection, which is it's the only place I go now.
Cool.
Because they have such a huge selection.
Right.
So you're probably going to have to go to your larger sellers of things. Now, Aldi's, we just got one of those, and they may have it because they're predominantly organic type things.
Cool.
You could check your Aldi's, but I don't know.
Cool.
Kroger, I know for sure.
That's great. Cool. Yeah, so those are both phase 4 things.
Yeah.
Yeah, are there anything else that you eat, even if it is a whole food, but that tastes yummy to you? That's like a fun snack?
Oh, I make sweet potato chips and beet chips. Like you slice your sweet potatoes and beets really thin. And buddy, it's in the freezer. You can go get it and have it if you want it. Okay. What kind of ice cream? It's birthday cake. Sprinkles. You can go get it.
Cool.
But yeah, I slice those really thin on like a mandolin.
Okay.
And I'm still using coconut oil just because I fell in love with it. The way it just tastes. I like the coconut flavor.
Yeah.
And you can do sweet or savory. Sometimes I put just cinnamon and stuff on them. But the natural sweetness from the beets.
Yeah.
I didn't realize beets are just so naturally sweet.
Right.
That you can even use their juice in a lot of things to sweeten things. We use it because my son is very sugar intolerant. We use beet juice a lot to sort of shove some sweetness in there.
Yeah. Do you make it with juice or
the juicer?
Oh, nice. That's cool.
We have a juicer.
Very cool.
You need a spoon. So yes, Halo Top.
Oh, there it is. That's a picture.
You can have it.
Very cool. So with the sweet potato chips and beet chips, can you just share like how you bake them? What
Yes. Pick it up with your finger. I put it on about 375.
Yeah.
The oven, and let it get hot before you put them in there. Let it sit for 10 or 12 minutes. And let the oven be really hot. And I spread them out. You don't want them on top of each other.
Okay.
And I'll put them in there for like about 20 minutes.
Okay.
But if you want them crispier, you could leave them longer. And I do them on the bottom, not the closest, not up top, closer to your broiler, because I see like the edges will get a little darker on those. Yeah.
Oh, so it's on the bottom rack. Oh. Okay, cool. Thank you. That sounds like
good. And you store them in a paper bag, not plastic or anything, because they'll get moist, but the paper bag lets them breathe.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, so that sounds like a good P4 snack too. That's cool.
They're very good. You can do it with carrots too. Carrots are really sweet.
Yeah.
I bet you like that.
Yeah. So for you guys, if you want to learn more about Melissa's journey with weightlifting, like heavy weightlifting, and she's also CrossFitting now, I have a whole interview with her in my phase 3 program. I think I'm going to call it P3 to Life. By the time this interview airs, it's probably not going to be out yet, but you can go on my website and sign up to find out when it comes out. But part of the focus is really all about how to maintain, like what's life after hCG, and so we actually go quite in depth with Melissa on what weightlifting is all about, what it's done for her and her metabolism. And so you can, go there and find that out, and listen to that interview too. But why don't we actually speak to that? You mentioned wanting to discuss that actually, was using hCG as a tool and what not to do with it. Can you share your philosophy about that and your thoughts on that?
Like I said, I was in a community during my whole hCG, all the rounds, and you can watch other people and sort of see, and it's not that there's anything wrong with people, they're just not there yet. You choose when you're ready to do forever instead of this part of it. There's a lot of people that will use, and it is a great tool. hCG is a wonderful tool for people to lose weight, but we know that Dr. Simeon's created like this protocol for super obese bariatric patients. This is not a protocol that was created to be used long term as and as terrible as it may sound, like as a crutch.
Right.
Because I would see so many women, and it would just make my heart hurt for them, that they're like planning their round in February because they know the holidays they're going to pack on 20 or 30 pounds. And what a sad thing that is.
Right.
To know you're going to have to do this thing and hCG is a drastic thing, and it is a chemical, and the protocol is restrictive, and it's a mentally difficult thing to do. Instead of teaching yourself using this protocol and the tool the way I believe Dr. Simeon's intended, which is to teach ourselves about food and what we should be eating, instead of using it in a beneficial way like that to teach ourselves and to move on, learn how to live and sustain forever, we're just using it as this fallback. That's not healing your illness at all. If you're a food addict or whatever, however you got to however much you weigh, that you need to do this protocol, you're not, by using it in that way, by abusing it, you're not helping yourself. You're just not using it properly. You're not healing. You're prolonging the process. Because if we don't learn how to maintain weight loss, we're doing more damage to our metabolism. We're just not recovering.
Right. Yeah, no, I appreciate that you talk about that because it is a real thing. And like you said, we're not all minerally ready. But
Yeah.
maybe if we also think more about what we're doing to our bodies when we're constantly cycling hCG, just some food for thought for you guys. It's like I didn't know about any of this stuff either when I originally started losing weight. It's just from over time researching more about muscle and the role that muscle plays in our metabolism and our body. But when you lose weight, you lose some muscle usually if you lose a lot of weight, even on hCG. So like I'm always having ladies, I'm always trying to get body fat test results from ladies that have done it. I've done my own to show that with hCG you do have a very high percentage of fat loss, so that is awesome. But there is still some muscle loss. And the problem is that in order to build muscle, typically you have to work your muscles out, if you gain weight, you will gain some muscle along with it because your body, it's like when you were 275 or 300 pounds, it's not like all of your excess weight was fat. Definitely a good portion was muscle because your body has to carry itself around. So, but the thing is you're going to lose a little muscle. Now, if you're constantly cycling rounds of hCG, like you're gaining fat in between, and then you do a round, you're going to lose a little muscle, but then when you gain weight back, you're not necessarily going to gain as much muscle back as you lost, right? So if you're constantly doing that and you're not doing any exercise in between to rebuild, potentially you will end up with a lower metabolism because your body fat ratio is getting more screwed up over time, if that makes sense, versus if you take breaks and weight lift in between or at the end, whatever the case may be. But if you can try to do it responsibly that way, you have the potential of having a much better metabolism and just keeping things in balance. So there is a danger there to kind of doing it over and over. And for some of you, maybe that's already happened, and that's okay. Like, you can't, whatever has happened, but you can totally fix it. You can totally fix it. I think in my body fat testing between, like when I did my weightlifting in between my CrossFit, between my last couple rounds, I ended up gaining, I think, about 13 pounds of muscle in that 1 year. And I lost I ended up at the same weight, like 127 pounds, right? But I had lost 12 or 13 pounds of fat and I had gained 13 pounds of muscle by cycling, by doing hCG and then CrossFit. So by replacing that with muscle, I was able to eat more, so otherwise, like for instance, today I would have, I would only have maybe like 94 pounds of muscle on my frame instead of 106, which is what I do have now, so it's just I don't know. I don't know if I'm confusing you guys, but just some food for thought that going forward, try to think about it in that way as to what your goals are and what do you want for yourself long term, you know?
Right. Because nobody wants to do this forever. Nobody wants to have to, if you could fix your metabolism and find a way, to eat 700 calories of, I'm eating waffles and things, why would you not choose that over the deprivation that you deal with during a round?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because we weren't really designed to be eating that little on a daily basis. That's it's for a purpose. So that's
Right,
why it doesn't feel good because it's not how we were
right.
designed, you know? I mean, food was meant to be enjoyable, I think. I mean, food tastes good for a reason.
Really good.
So
Yeah.
it's nice when you can actually enjoy a full meal and not have to worry about like gaining weight, as long as it's in balance. So yeah. Well, thank you so much for all of that. I feel like we covered, a lot of good stuff on that. Is there any other last thoughts that you want to share before we finish up?
Just, if you're like in the beginning, before I started, I was so afraid, of if it would even work. I had done everything, if it would even work, what would happen if I do lose weight,
Yeah.
no matter how scared you are or all of how apprehensive you are, just do it.
Yeah.
Just put in the work, put yourself first, make yourself important enough to do this. Don't keep making the excuses and stuff because everybody has them. I had them, for 10 years. I had the excuses.
Yeah.
Just it's the benefit is so much more amazing than we can even tell people. Like we can tell people all day how great we feel,
Right.
but just do it. Just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Everybody has to begin somewhere. You just have to do it.
Yeah. Good thoughts. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you guys so much. And again, for you guys, if you want to, for the few little links we talked about today, our products, just go to the show notes for episode 40 with Melissa, and you'll see that. It'll have also her body fat test. I might actually try to put it here on the screen for you guys, but she's currently at 24% body fat as of February. And, being that she was, what was it, 275, you said,
About
originally?
75 to 76.
Yeah, originally she didn't have her body fat tested then, but it's likely that you were at least 40% body fat, I would assume, if not more.
Right.
You might even be 50, but
Yeah, the girl when I had it done said I had lost 40% of my body weight.
yeah,
So
cool. Yeah, yeah. So definitely, she's in the healthy range now for her body fat percent. So she's obviously made great strides, and she has a good amount of lean mass for her frame. She's 5'10", and it said you had 126 pounds of muscle, of lean body mass, I should say.
yeah,
Yeah, and so that is really, really good for a woman. Um,
I'm looking at skeletal muscle mass.
yeah, yeah, because sometimes we forget lean body mass is everything. Your organs, your head.
Right.
It's not just muscle. What?
Organs and things like that, and then they
Yes.
have your
Your
bones. There's
brain,
bones
your
in there.
bones. Yeah, but yeah, that's really good for her frame size. So thank you so much for being with me today. And maybe we can catch up with you later in a year or something because
Oh my.
you're actively weightlifting and trying to increase your physique. Look at this. Look at those guns. It's awesome. Yeah, and we can kind of see where you're at and how you're doing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That sounds good.
Fun times.